Woodwork processing. Woodworking is a skill of making items from wood and includes cabinet making, cabinetry and furniture, wood carving, joinery, carpentry, and wood turning. In a normal plant, the wood stock moves from rough planer to cut-off saw to rip saw to finish planer to molder to lathe to table saw to band saw to router to shaper to drill and mortiser to carver and into a variety of sanders. Now, let us know the process or the steps of woodworking.
There are 5 main steps in woodworking. The first one is planning and designing. Next is cutting. The third one is drilling. The fourth is fastening. And the last step or process is sanding or finishing. In spite of having those process and steps in woodwork, note that every worker or each worker breaks the process down in their own way, so the steps that different woodworkers take may vary. Now, the question is, why woodworking is an important skill? And the answer, it holds much of society together. Without carpentry, we would not have homes, business, churches, and etc. Carpentry is a very important career because it touches everyone's lives every day. This is why it is very important for a person to learn the skill sometime in their life. Now, here's a fact about wood. Okay, so wood has been used for thousands of years for fuel and as a construction material, for making tools and weapons, furniture, and also for paper. And don't you know that more recently it emerged as a feedstock for the production of purified cellulose and its derivatives such as cellophane and cellulose acetate. As you can see, he is cutting the wood, and it's a process of woodworking.
Wood finishing refers to the process of refining or protecting a wooden surface, especially in the production of furniture where typically it represents between 5 and 30% of manufacturing cost. Finishing is the final step of the manufacturing process that gives wood surfaces desirable characteristics, including enhanced appearance and increased resistance to moisture and other environmental agents. Finishing can also make wood easier to clean and keep it sanitized, sealing pores that can be breeding grounds for bacteria. Finishing can also influence other wood properties, for example, tonal qualities of musical instrument and hardness of flooring. In addition, finishing provides a way of giving low-value woods the appearance of ones that are expensive and difficult to obtain.
Wood joinery is one of the most basic concepts in woodworking. If we didn't have the ability to join two pieces of wood together in a solid fashion, all woodworking pieces would be sculptures carved out of a single piece of wood. However, with the many varied types of wood joinery, a woodworker has a number of different joints in his arsenal from which to choose based on the project. If you master these wood joinery concepts, you will be well on your way to becoming a very accomplished woodworker. So, here's the 13 types of wood joinery. The first one is basic butt joint. There is no more basic wood joinery than the butt joint. A butt joint is nothing more than when one piece of wood butts into another and is fastened using mechanical fasteners. This type of joint is often used in wall framing on construction sites. Learn tips for using a butt joint as well as when to choose another wood joinery type. The next one is metered butt joint. A metered butt joint is nearly the same as a basic butt joint, except that the two boards are joined at an angle. The advantage is that the metered butt joint will not show any end grain. and as such is a bit more aesthetically pleasing. However, the metered butt joint isn't all that strong. And the next one is half lap joint. The half lap joint is where half of each of the two boards being joined in is removed so that the two boards join together flush with one another. This type of wood joinery can obviously weaken the strength of the two adjoining boards, but also is a stronger joint than butt joints. There are a number of projects where this type of wood joints is quite desirable in spite of its drawbacks. The fourth one is tongue and groove joint. When joining two boards square to one another along a long edge, one can simply butt to joint together and hold it with fasteners. However, the tongue and groove joint is much stronger and provides more adjoining surface areas, which is particularly useful if you are going to glue the joint. The fifth one is mortise and tenon joints. The mortise and tenon is a classic wood joinery method. These methods have been used since the early times of woodworking and are still among the strongest and elegant methods for joining wood. Learn methods for creating tight, beautiful mortise and tenon joints. The next one is biscuit joint, another method for joining boards along the edge to hold the boards in place. This is a very useful modern woodworking joint, particularly for creating tabletops relying on glue and the swelling of the beechwood biscuit to hold the boards in place. Learn how to cut consistently slats and get reliable result from biscuit joinery. The seventh one is pocket joint. The pocket joint is a type of wood joinery that involves cutting a slat and pre-drilling a pilot hole at an angle between two boards before connecting the two with a screw. This pre-drilling needs to be very accurate, so it is typically accomplished by use of a commercial jig. Pocket joints work great for cabinet, face frames, and other similar applications where a lot of strength is not needed. Number 9 is rabbet. Another common wood joint used in cabinetry is the rabbet. A rabbet is essentially a dado cut along the edge of a board. Rabbets are often used at the back of cabinets and other similar assemblies for attaching the back to the sides of the box, adding a considerable amount of strength to the assembly. Number 10 is through the dovetail joint. Of all wood joinery methods, the through dovetail may be the most revered. A classic through dovetail is beautiful and is very strong and adds a touch of class to any pieces. There are a few methods for creating through dovetails, from hand cutting to machining with a jig. Number 11 is half-blind dovetail joint. There are situations where a dovetail joint is the connection of choice, but both edges of the dovetail should not be visible. A perfect example is a drawer front, where you don't want to see the end of the true dovetail on the face of the drawer. For this type of joint, the best choice is a half-blind dovetail. Number 12 is sliding dovetail. A sliding dovetail is a versatile joint with a lot of possible uses. A good way to think of it is a locking dado. So the last one is box joint. Dovetail joints are beautiful and strong, but not always practical. A box joint is a simpler alternative to the dovetail joint.
There are different kinds of wood joints. They have different styles and usage. It provides several creative options when putting together furniture, flooring, and more. Now, I will discuss about the wood joint reinforcement. But first, let us tackle
What is wood join? So wood join is a wood working process that is performed to join pieces of wood together in order to create complicated parts. There are different techniques used when producing joints depending on the type of wood to be produced. Now, can we reinforce wood? Of course, using a wood hardener is one of the easiest and most effective ways to strengthen rotten wood. We can apply some PVA glue to the sides of the wood block that will be in contact with the joint. There are also materials that we will use for reinforcement. One is steel. This is the most common material used as reinforcement, but other materials such as fiber reinforced polymer are also used. Now, there are two types of joint reinforcement. These are the truss type or diagonal crossroads and ladder type, straight crossroads. Ladder type is preferred as the straight crossroads are less likely to obstruct reinforcement and grout placement. Joint reinforcement can be purchased with a wide range of rod diameters. Now, some of the joint reinforcement are climb the ladder to improve wall reinforcing design and selecting bed joint reinforcement. Now, what is climb the ladder to improve wall reinforcing design? All horizontal joint reinforcement should be cut at expansion and control joints. Do not ruin joint reinforcement through movement joints or stress concentrations. Cracking and spalling will occur. Structural connection between the widths can be incorporated in the horizontal reinforcement. Side roads in ladder type reinforcement span the cavity to band interior and exterior widths. Pintle type triangle ties can be used in conjunction with ladder type reinforcement, which channel slats cast into concrete slabs and with connection to stud construction. There is also called corrosion protection, wherein the building code requirements and specification for masonry structures specification permits either hot dip galvanized or mill galvanized corrosion protection for joint reinforcement. The 2006 International Building Code requires a hot dip galvanized coating for use in exterior walls and interior walls where the relative humidity will be 75% or more. The IBC permits mill galvanized joint reinforcement for interior applications only. The next one is the selecting bed joint reinforcement. This joint reinforcement is also installed in the wall by first laying it on a bare concrete masonry course and then covering it with mortar. Mortar will find in underneath the joint steel when the next block course is placed. Joint reinforcement must also be placed to provide 5/8 mortar cover between the face of the side road and the face of the masonry wall. This cover provides some degree of weather protection.